You are not being watched by cameras, not by the government, but by the people around you. Every room you enter is a silent arena where power is measured, status is judged, and weakness is quietly selected. And the uncomfortable truth is this: most people don't lose power because they are incapable. They lose it because they reveal too much. You were taught that openness is strength, that being transparent makes you trustworthy. Machiavelli warned the opposite centuries ago. He understood that the moment you expose everything, you surrender leverage. Right now, you may be sabotaging yourself without realizing it. Today, we'll expose 9 behaviors that look harmless, admirable, but actually signal weakness. Behaviors powerful people never display in public. Eliminate them and everything changes. Never reveal their next move. The fastest way to lose power is to announce it before you earn it. Most people can't resist telling others what they're about to do. A new business idea, a fitness plan, a big decision they're finally making. It feels productive, almost responsible. In reality, it's a quiet mistake. What they're really seeking isn't progress. It's approval, a nod, a compliment, a quick hit of validation. Machiavelli understood this weakness clearly. The moment you reveal your intentions, you give others time to react. Some will doubt you, some will envy you, some will subtly interfere. Even worse, your own mind relaxes. By speaking the goal out loud, you steal the satisfaction of achievement without doing the work. Never complain about their problems. Complaining feels harmless. Sometimes it even feels justified. But in public, it is one of the clearest signals of weakness you can send. When you talk openly about how tired you are, how unfair things feel, or how badly you've been treated, you think you're being honest. What you're actually doing is announcing that you've lost control of the situation. And whether people admit it or not, they are listening through a different filter than you expect. Most people don't truly care about your problems. They may nod. They may offer a polite response. But internally, they're categorizing you. Not as someone strong or capable, but as someone carrying weight they can't manage. Someone who reacts instead of acts. Powerful people understand this instinctively. They don't broadcast frustration. They don't unload their burdens onto the public. They either fix the problem quietly or they endure it without spectacle. There is no third option. The Italians had a word for this: sprezzatura. It's the art of carrying difficulty with ease, of making effort, pain and pressure look effortless. Not because there is no struggle, but because revealing it serves no strategic purpose. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion until it explodes. It means choosing privacy over performance. Your struggles belong behind closed doors with trusted counsel, not on display for judgment. Public complaining doesn't create sympathy. It creates distance. People instinctively avoid those who feel unstable, negative, or overwhelmed. Strength draws attention. Misery repels it. And as pressure builds, most people make an even bigger mistake. Never lose their temper. Anger feels powerful in the moment. It raises your voice, tightens your body, and creates the illusion of control. But in public, losing your temper does the opposite. It hands control to whoever provoked you. The moment you explode, you reveal something valuable: your triggers. You show the world exactly how you can be manipulated. A careless comment, a small insult, a bit of pressure, and suddenly your composure collapses. Anyone who can control your emotions can control your behavior. Machiavelli understood this danger. He warned that a leader may be feared, but must never appear unstable. Rage doesn't inspire fear, it creates contempt. A person who cannot govern themselves cannot be trusted with authority over anything else. Notice the difference between noise and restraint. The person who shouts, slams tables or lashes out is quickly dismissed. They look reactive, predictable, easy to provoke. But the one who goes quiet, who pauses, observes and speaks less, that person unsettles everyone in the room. Silence forces others to sit with their own discomfort. It denies them the emotional reaction they expected. And without that reaction, their power disappears. This doesn't mean suppressing anger entirely. Anger can be a tool, but only when it's controlled, deliberate, and rare. Unfiltered emotion is never strategic. Powerful people master their nervous system. They don't give strangers the ability to hijack their state of mind. They remain composed, especially when tested. Because once you show you can't be rattled, most people stop trying. But there's a quieter habit, one that seems polite, that can cost you even more than anger. Never apologize when it's not necessary. You know, it's worth paying attention to just how often people apologize for things that aren't actually mistakes. Sorry to bother you. Sorry for asking. Sorry, but I think these phrases, they do sound polite, even considerate, don't they? But beneath the surface, they send a very different signal. An apology is, after all, an admission of guilt. When you apologize without cause, you're really placing yourself in a lower position and inviting judgment where none was required. Modern culture, honestly, encourages this behavior. We're taught to soften our presence, to shrink ourselves, to apologize simply for existing. Over time, this conditions people to see you as unsure, hesitant, and frankly, easy to push aside. Powerful people don't do this. They understand that apologies carry weight and that weight should never be wasted. When they apologize, it's deliberate, rare, and meaningful. Because a real mistake was made, instead of apologizing, they adjust their language. Not sorry I'm late, but thank you for waiting. Not sorry to disagree, but I see it differently. The message shifts from submission to neutrality, from seeking forgiveness to simply stating reality. This doesn't make you rude, it makes you grounded. Over-apologizing trains others to blame you, to expect compliance, to treat you as responsible for their discomfort. Save apologies for when they matter, when you've broken trust, when you've caused harm. Say it once, fix it, move on. For everything else, stand your ground. Occupy your space without explanation. And when it comes to money, the cost of oversharing becomes even more dangerous. Never reveal your financial situation. Money is really one of the fastest ways people are judged, and one of the most dangerous details to expose. If you appear broke, the world treats you with quiet contempt. Doors close, opinions soften, your words just carry less weight. Poverty, fairly or not, is read as failure. People distance themselves because, well, they fear being associated with it. But revealing wealth is, honestly, no safer. When others know you're doing well, admiration quickly turns into comparison. And comparison breeds envy. Envy isn't loud. It's patient. It smiles, listens, and waits. It's the emotion that turns friends cold and makes loyalty disappear when opportunity appears. Machiavelli, of course, understood this risk clearly. Outshining others invites resentment, and resentment creates enemies you never see coming. Powerful people avoid both extremes. They keep their financial position deliberately unclear. They don't complain about money and they don't flaunt it. No dramatic stories, no flashy signals, no explanations. True wealth doesn't announce itself. It whispers. It shows up in consistency, calm, and options, not logos, receipts, or displays. Financial ambiguity protects you from pity on one side and predation on the other. When resources are limited, they maintain order and dignity. When resources are abundant, they maintain restraint. The goal is the same in both cases. Never let money define your position in the hierarchy. Your finances are leverage. Once revealed, that leverage is gone. Keep people guessing. Let them assume stability, never certainty. This shields you from envy, favors you didn't ask for, and expectations you never agreed to. But dangerous information isn't limited to money alone. Never gossip or speak badly about others. Gossip feels like connection, but it's actually self-sabotage. When you speak badly about someone who isn't present, you might think you're bonding. Sharing inside information, creating trust. In reality, you're exposing yourself as the least trustworthy person in the room. Everyone listening has the same thought, even if they never say it. If they talk about others like this, they'll talk about me too. In that moment, your credibility drops, not because of what you said, but because of what you revealed about yourself. Machiavelli warned that a leader must avoid being despised. Few behaviors create disdain faster than petty talk. Gossip signals boredom, insecurity, and a lack of control. It places you in the category of people who manage emotions through rumors instead of action. Powerful people operate differently. They listen, they observe, they collect information, but they don't leak it. To them, information is leverage, and leverage is never given away for free. This is where real power becomes uncomfortable. Become the person who hears everything and repeats nothing. Let others fill the silence. Let them reveal their fears, grudges, and alliances. Over time, you become a black hole. Information goes in, but nothing comes out. That uncertainty changes how people behave around you. They speak carefully. They wonder what you know. And that quiet advantage gives you influence without confrontation. Never speak poorly of your enemies in public. It makes you look reactive and obsessed. Silence suggests indifference, and indifference is far more threatening. But there's another trap, especially for those who believe they're improving themselves. Never explain their philosophy. There's this quiet urge that, shows up when people start changing their lives. The need to explain themselves. A new mindset, a new discipline, a new philosophy. Suddenly they feel compelled to announce it, defend it, and even try to convert everyone around them. It sounds confident, but honestly, it's a trap. The moment you publicly declare your principles, you create a standard others are just waiting to see you fail. Say you value discipline, and they'll watch for laziness. Say you value honesty, and they'll look for a single lie. Your words become a measuring stick, used against you. Machiavelli warned against this sort of rigidity. He advised leaders to appear virtuous while remaining adaptable. The public declaration removes flexibility. It locks you into an image you must constantly protect. Powerful people understand this. They don't lecture. They don't argue beliefs at the dinner table. They simply live their philosophy quietly and let the results speak for themselves. Their consistency creates curiosity, not resistance. When you explain your values, you invite debate. When you embody them, you invite questions. And questions, those come from interest, not opposition. There's also a deeper risk. By verbalizing your standards, you feed the ego. You feel righteous before you've even earned it. That gap between identity and behavior eventually collapses. And when it does, others are eager to point it out. Silence avoids this entirely. Let people wonder why you're calm, why you're disciplined, why you don't react the way others do. Mystery builds authority far more effectively than explanation ever could. But beneath all these habits lies a single addiction, one most people never escape. Never seek approval or validation. The need for approval sits beneath almost every mistake people make in public. From childhood, we're trained to seek it. Praise from authority figures, acceptance from the group, confirmation that we're doing things right. Over time, this creates a dangerous habit, outsourcing self-worth. In any social dynamic, the roles are clear. The one seeking approval places themselves lower. The one granting it holds the power. Every time you fish for compliments, adjust your opinions to fit the room, or look around to see how your words landed. You're reinforcing that hierarchy. Powerful people refuse this dynamic. They don't perform for reactions. They don't check faces for validation. They speak, act, and decide from an internal standard. And, something strange happens when you stop trying to impress. Attention shifts. People begin watching you instead. They sense independence, and independence unsettles them. Praise and criticism are two sides of the same manipulation. If a compliment can lift you, an insult can destroy you. Both give others access to your emotional state. Real power comes from becoming immune to both. This doesn't mean arrogance. It means self-containment. You listen, you observe, but you don't need agreement to proceed. When your approval comes only from your own code, your discipline, your consistency, your execution, external judgment loses its grip. And once validation no longer controls you, something else must be protected. Because the final mistake is the most dangerous of all, especially in the age of constant exposure. Never reveal their vulnerability in public. Public vulnerability is often praised as courage. In reality, it's exposure without protection. The world is not a therapy room. It's a hierarchy. And hierarchies do not reward those who reveal where they break. When you share your deepest fears, unresolved trauma, or private wounds in public, you believe you're being authentic. What you're actually doing is handing others the blueprint to hurt you. Machiavelli understood this clearly. Power operates on perception, not empathy. When you show where you're fragile, you don't inspire respect. You invite control. People may express sympathy, but they also store the information. And later, consciously or not, they use it. This doesn't mean you should never face your shadow. You must. But you do it in private, with people who have earned trust, with professionals, mentors, or within your own discipline, not in front of an audience that has no obligation to protect you. In public spaces, vulnerability is often confused with strength because it feels emotionally honest. But honesty without boundaries is recklessness. Sharks don't respond to blood with compassion. They respond with focus. Powerful people understand timing. They don't display open wounds. They wear armor in public and remove it only in safe environments. A wound is shown only after it has healed, when it has become a scar. Scars teach. Wounds beg. When you speak from scars, you control the narrative. When you speak from wounds, the narrative controls you. This isn't about being fake, it's about being protected. The king doesn't walk into the crowd unguarded, not because he's superior, but because his role demands stability. And once you stop revealing your vulnerabilities publicly, something profound happens. You become harder to read, harder to manipulate, and far more respected. When you stop doing these 9 things, something unexpected happens. A vacuum forms around you. You speak less, you explain less, you react less, and people notice. Some will say you've changed, that you seem distant, harder to read, harder to reach. What they're really sensing is the absence of access. The handles they once used to pull you no longer exist. But here's the twist no one warns you about. When the noise of performance fades, you're left alone with your own thoughts. No validation, no distraction, no audience. And honestly, for most people, that silence is terrifying. A fortress on the outside means nothing if the ruler inside is undisciplined. Learning how to guard your public image is only half the battle. The next challenge is mastering the enemy within, your impulses, fears, and internal chaos. That's where real power begins.